Story 1. My family wants me to give up my wedding venue for my pregnant sister. My fiancé and I have been together for 8 years and engaged for 3. I was doing my PhD program and was juggling planning the wedding. My fiancé took much of that work, but it was perfect because our dream venue was booked till after my graduation. So what we did is book our dream venue 3 years in advance. It is really a beautiful venue. The only slot we got was September of this year. My sister got engaged a few months ago. They were planning on having a spring wedding next year. They had no venue lined up, but had a few vendors lined up as well as a set date. Yesterday, our parents invited us and our significant others to a family barbecue where my sister announced to our extended family that she is expecting. Everyone was so happy for her and my brother-in-law, who is a great guy. My nan asked my sister if the wedding was still on the set date or if they were going to wait because of the baby. She said that she hoped to move it to September. NBD. We don't have many out-of-town guests, so they could attend both weddings, no problem. Nan was happy and asked sister if she needed help planning such a short-notice wedding. My sister then turns around and said, "That's what I wanted to talk to you about. I was really hoping we could take your venue. I really cannot stress myself out too much with planning a wedding while going to maternity classes, and I think it's so beautiful. It would really mean a lot to me." It went silent, but everyone was looking at me expecting me to say, "Yes, of course, everything for my little sister." My brother-in-law looked very uncomfortable and told her that they had to talk about this and that it was not okay to put me on the spot. But my sister just said, "Don't be like that. My sister wants to do what's best for me, so it's no big deal, right?" I just said, "Well, it kind of is. I don't know. I have my heart really set on the venue." Cue the crying. She stormed off. Nan told me that I was being selfish because she needed the venue more than I did. I tried to defend myself and my mother said, "You waited 3 years. Would it have killed you to wait a few more months? When has your sister ever asked you for something?" A few comments later, my fiancé got really mad and we left. My sister called me crying and said that it was unfair that I always get what I want and that I could have done this one thing for her. Dad said it is just a venue and what matters is the person who you are marrying. He's kind of right, but we've been planning for so long. My fiancé is furious with my family and doesn't even want my sister to come. Now my family is threatening not to come because I'm being selfish and my sister needs it more than me because having a baby is too stressful. My brother-in-law called me and apologized for the inconvenience. He told me he had discussed it with my sister and she told him she would not ask. He's properly mad with her now and warned me that my sister is blaming me for potentially ruining her marriage. My father's sent me about 5 texts along the lines of, "I hope you're happy your sister hasn't stopped crying since yesterday," and so on and so on. My fiancé and I have decided to boot my sister from the bridal party and replace her with my aunt, who is the only family member that took my side. We have not decided whether or not we will invite my family as a whole. Furthermore, my mom took it upon herself to tell us. She called her fiancé's parents and told them that it would be best if my sister gets it because she is pregnant and preeclampsia runs in the family, whatever that means. My future father-in-law told them to F off and basically ripped my mom a new one for expecting something so ridiculous and that they were going to lose me if they kept playing favorites. So my mom is now crying too and saying that my father-in-law is a butt. This is just getting so pathetic. It seems straight out of a bad soap opera. My in-laws are driving to us currently with some supper and wine and basically told me not to worry and though no matter what happens that they will be my safety net. I cried of happiness. So it hasn't been that long, but this post blew the hell up. I was expecting only a few answers, but the support was overwhelming. What boggled my mind is that this story flooded over to mainstream media, but let's get to the story. So this went viral. A lot happened. Since this went viral, a lot happened. My sister saw this story while browsing on her Reddit account. She lost her mind. She accused me of painting her like a loony and misrepresenting facts. Info. My sister got wind of the situation due to various media outlets and went on Reddit. She said that I was being unfair, that she is family, and that she asked nicely because she loves me. She also underlines the fact that the opinion of internet strangers doesn't count because family is more important, and I should focus on making my family happy. The only text I sent back was this: "I'm sorry that you perceived it that way. I did not in any way distort what happened. As you might notice, I didn't describe your tone nor exaggerated anything. Perhaps you have that night differently in your mind than I do, but I digress. I'm sick and tired of bending to your will. My whole life I have been your servant and your your doormat. Remember all the birthdays I had to share with you because you would throw a tantrum because you didn't get presents, or when you cried so that I would fill out job applications for you. But the thing that has hurt me most till now is when you ruined my graduation. I am done. I admit that I also spoiled you, but I will not any longer. If you want to marry your badly before your baby is born, then you could look at Hotel X that offers last-minute weddings. I've spent too much time planning my wedding to give it to you, and if you want to ruin our relationship over this, then go ahead. I will sleep sound and safe knowing that it wasn't my fault. She only sent me a wow, you must love me so much, and blocked me. She unblocked me this morning to send me this. Wedding planner. Hello dear, I got the message from your mother and will proceed with the rebooking of the venue on the spot. However, this will have extra costs as we have to change the names on the contract. Please come by my office tomorrow so we can sign the new contract. Sister, that's great. I'll be there at 9. My parents haven't actually written to me since the thing with my father-in-law. My older brother, yes, I have an older brother, but he lives in another city and wasn't at the barbecue. That's why I didn't mention him. Plus, he initially could not come to the wedding because of work and changed his plans after hearing about all the story. Contact me and wanted to know what happened because he got a weird story from mom and dad. Mom had told him that I had offered to give up the venue to my sister and that I humiliated her. I told him what really happened, and he had no problem believing me. We talked a lot about our parents' behavior, and he confessed that him moving was partly due to our parents being, and I quote, crapheads to us. He told me that mom had gotten wind from the post and was mad at me for betraying my family. I haven't written my parents what so many of you advised me to because I have to come to terms with the fact that they love my sister more than me, if they love me at all. The wedding. We sat together and put passwords with the majority of our vendors and also with the venue directly. We haven't talked to our planner yet, which is why my sister worries me so much. Also, we canceled the catering that my parents paid for, so in the short term we won't be able to get a full catering like we wanted to, but all our friends and my fiance's family will help us prepare a buffet, and everyone is going to chip in. That will be our bachelor party. As we will have to spend more on our food now, we canceled our bachelor parties and we'll have a family and friends cooking session. Thank you again for helping me see how toxic my family is. I'll try to sort it out. If they apologize from the bottom of their heart, they will be allowed into my wedding, but if not, well then, I still have my brother who will be walking me down the aisle and my aunt. We call my planner and she was actually really horrified. She told me that she had never talked to my mother since the day we went to book the venue. She assured me that even if they were to call and say that I wanted it, I had to be present to make any changes. So we informed everyone that will work for us on our wedding, and they offered to hire security for that day at a reduced price. So first off, obviously, the person posting this is absolutely in the right. And yeah, that sister is being absurd. Absolutely and completely absurd. Like, I get maybe wanting to ask. There's no harm in asking privately, not putting someone on the spot, if they could do that for you, and then respecting their answer no matter which way they would go. And obviously, I don't think it's at all wrong for you to want to keep the venue that you've waited 3 years for, that you had to book well in advance. And the dad saying, well, it doesn't matter where you get married, just the person that you're with, so why can't you give it to your sister? Well then, why does it matter where she gets married, Dad? Why doesn't the pregnant sister just get married wherever? It doesn't matter where she gets married. You don't have to blah, blah, blah. Oh my God, these people, these entitled, completely disconnected from reality people just drive me up a wall. Oh my God. Like, yeah, I don't blame you for not wanting your family at the wedding, because if your sister is going to like kind of ruin your graduation by putting you on the spot and throwing a fit, who knows what the hell she would have done at your wedding. So I hope she wasn't invited. Even if they apologized at that point, I don't think I'd trust them. Story 2. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife to lock my daughter's door until brother-in-law's out of the house? My brother-in-law Sammy lost his home shortly after his divorce 10 months ago. He moved in with us and brought his twin daughters, Olivia and Sloane, 18, with him a couple months ago. His sister, my wife, and I have one daughter, Zoe, 16, and she and her cousins aren't close but get along fine. Olivia and Sloane have no respect for Zoe's privacy. None. They used to walk into her room and take everything they can get their hands on: makeup, phone accessories, clothes, school laptop, etc. Zoe complained a lot, and I've already asked the girls to respect Zoe's privacy. privacy and stop taking things. My wife and Sammy saw no issues with this. After all, they're girls, and this is typical teenage girls behavior. I completely disagreed. Last straw was when Zoe bought a $60 MAC makeup kit that looks like a paint set that she saved up for over a month, and one of the girls, Sloan, took it without permission and ruined it by mixing shades together when using it. Don't know much about makeup, but that's what Zoe said when she found the kit on her bed and was crying. I told my wife, and she said she'd ask Sloan to apologize, but I got Zoe a lock after I found out she was moving valuable belongings out of the house because of this incident. Sammy and his daughters saw the lock and weren't happy. The girls were extremely upset. Sammy asked about it, and I straight up told him. He said, "My daughters aren't thieves. It's normal that girls of the same age borrow each other's stuff." He said Zoe could easily get another makeup kit for $15 from Walmart and shouldn't be buying expensive adult makeup in the first place, and suggested my wife take care of this defect in Zoe's personality, trying to appear older than she is. He accused me of being overprotective and babying Zoe with this level of enablement. I told him that's between me and my wife, but she shamed me for putting a lock on Zoe's door for her cousins to see and preventing them from spending time with her, saying I was supposed to treat them like daughters, then demanded I remove it, but I said this lock does not get removed till her brother and his daughters are out of our house. She got mad. I was implying we kicked them out and said her family will hate me for this. So I reminded her that I let Sammy and his family move in, which something her own family refused to do. She should start with shaming/blaming them for not taking their own son and nieces/granddaughters in. If it wasn't for her family's unwillingness to help, we wouldn't be dealing with this much disturbance at home. Everyone's been giving me and Zoe silent treatment, and my wife is very much upset over this. Well then, I think that your wife needs to get the frick over it. Yes, like sisters, cousins, people in the same house can absolutely share stuff. It happens all the time. I grew up with 3 younger siblings, and yeah, we would share things and stuff, but we would share things if we asked. We get to ask each other. You don't take your sibling stuff, you ask them. If you take it without asking, then now it's your responsibility if something happens to it. And you just don't do that. You get in trouble for that. It's like, don't take your brother's stuff. Don't take your sister's stuff without asking. Because guess what? Even if they're teenagers, under 18, living under your roof, I hate that phrase, but they are still entitled to their privacy and their stuff, especially things that they're buying with their own money. Uncle Sammy doesn't get to be like, she shouldn't be buying makeup that expensive. Right? Shut up, Sammy. You're a guest in this house. You couldn't go out and get your own place, so live by these rules. I'm sorry. This is absolutely absurd to me. Zoe is allowed her privacy, her own private space. It was not being respected, so now there's a lock there because other people would not respect her and ask her for stuff. So absolutely, I am with the poster and Zoe on this, and the wife and the brother-in-law and the 2 other girls need to friggin' learn respect. Story 3, entitled Mother Wants Me to Stop Treating My Young Adult Children as Adults. So a little backstory is in order. I have 2 young adult children living at home, ages 18 and 19. They both work and go to college. I trust my kids. I trust their decision-making skills. When they graduated high school and turned 18, new rules went into place. No curfew, just call me and let me know if you're going to be out all night so I don't worry. You can call me at any time for a pickup, no questions asked. Just don't be stupid and drink and drive. Yes, your significant other can sleep over or come over for the weekend. Just let me know what's going on. Pay a small rent during the summer when you're working full-time and pay your part of the car insurance. You have your chores, I have mine. We all work together. I tell them if they're being a-holes and they listen. In turn, I listen to them. There is very little fighting or arguing in my house. This is their time to spread their wings and learn how to be a responsible adult and have me as a safety net. Lately, one of my kids' significant others has been spending a lot of time over at my house. He is pretty much all the time. 2 days ago, I got a phone call from a number I didn't recognize, and I answered it. It was my daughter's boyfriend's mother. Me, EM, entitled mother. Me, hello, entitled mom. You need to tell my kid he isn't allowed over at your house anymore. Who is this? This is Tommy's mother. I already know where this is going. Oh, Tommy's mom. I have to say, you raised a great kid. He's always polite and respectful. In fact, look, I don't care what you think about my kid. He is never at home. He isn't spending any time with me. Okay, there isn't much I can do about that. Yes, there is. Tell him he can't come over to your house anymore. I want him home. And you set a bad example for my son. Your daughter has no curfew, and I am sick and tired of hearing how nice it is at your house. I miss him and want him home. Me, speaking very lowly and basically growling into the phone. Are you done yelling at me? Entitled mom. Think I stunned her into silence. Me. I will take that as a yes. Do you trust the way you raised your son? What? It's a simple question. Do you trust the way you raised your son? Of course I do. What does that have to do with anything? Do you trust him to make good decisions? Yes, of course. She's starting to calm down now. Mother to mother. I know things are not okay at your house right now. Her husband drinks a lot. I'm trying to give your child a safe place where things are not okay at your house. She starts to cut me off at this point, but I won't let her. It's not your fault. Entitled mom. Me. He throws your son out for days at a time sometimes, doesn't he? Yes. I can hear her choking back the tears. Do you need someone to talk to you? Do you want to go out to lunch? That way you can feel safer knowing whose house your son is at and that he's safe? That would be okay. We were on the phone for about an hour after that. What started out as an entitled mom was just a scared woman feeling very, very alone. Sorry there wasn't any righteous retribution, but I think it turned out okay. I'm going to try and get 19-year-old Tommy's curfew changed from 10 p.m. to midnight, and maybe he can stay over for a weekend. Aw, man, thought it was going to be some, vengeance bringing the thunder down on this other mom, and it turns out that sometimes other people have their own problems, and reaching out to them can be a lifeline that they desperately need. And oh man, my heartstrings, they're being pulled so hard, and that's sweet and wonderful. But also, huge props to the person who posted this for all kinds of things. A, for being smart about parenting, like treating 18 and 19-year-olds like adults, because they are, is a great way to get them ready to be adults in the real world, because I've known so many people who their parents still baby them completely and set up all these rules when they're going to college and stuff, and then they get out into the real world and oh my gosh, they cannot make it. It is too much for them. So I think this is solid parenting personally. But then also to deal with this mom and realize there's a problem and you shut her down for sure, but then also reached out to help because you knew she needed it. And boy, oh boy, I think just about everyone can learn something from this story. So props to this person. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.